Right now, this week, as you watch this video, American B-2 bombers are on standby. Israeli F-35s are fueled and ready. 92 million people in Iran are wondering if tonight is the night the bombs fall again. Over the past few days, Trump welcomed Iran's move to pause nearly 800 court decisions. But when asked if he'll still attack Iran, he refused to answer. He said, "I'm not going to tell you that." Behind closed doors, Netanyahu and Trump are having urgent phone calls. Arab countries are begging America not to strike. The European Union just warned airlines to avoid Iranian airspace entirely. An Iranian foreign minister went on Fox News. Yes, Fox News, and delivered a message directly to Trump. Do not repeat the mistake you made in June. Technology cannot be bombed. Determination cannot be bombed. Here's what they're not telling you on the evening news. This isn't about nuclear weapons. This isn't about violence. This isn't even really about Iran. This is about what happens when the most powerful nation on earth decides your country should not exist and spends 70 years trying to make that happen. Buckle up, because the story you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about the Middle East. Let me ask you something. What would you do if another country spent 70 years, your entire grandparents' lifetime, trying to control your government? What if they removed your democratically elected leader and installed a dictator who tortured and killed your people for 26 years? What if, when you finally overthrew that dictator, they supported your neighbor in an 8-year war that killed 500,000 of your citizens? What if they then spent 40 years crushing your economy, killing your scientists, bombing your facilities, all while you never attacked them once? You'd probably fight back, right? Well, that's exactly what Iran has been doing. And for that, the Western world calls them the bad guys. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't Iran the country that sponsors terrorism? That threatens to wipe Israel off the map? That's building nuclear weapons? Hold that thought, because by the end of this video, you're going to see this situation in a completely different light. Here's what we're going to cover in the next few minutes. First, the shocking truth about how America destroyed Iranian democracy in 1953, and why that matters today. Second, the real reason Iran started its nuclear program, and it's not what you think. Third, what actually happened in June 2025 when Israel and America bombed Iran, the casualties, the retaliation, and the terrifying near miss that almost triggered World War III. Fourth, Iran's hidden superpower that makes it almost impossible to defeat, even for America. And finally, what's happening today, as world leaders plan their next move. But here's the thing. What you're about to learn isn't just about Iran. It's about power. It's about what happens when one nation can bomb another without consequences, without international law, without even being attacked first. Because if it can happen to Iran today, it can happen to any country tomorrow. So let's go back to where this all started. August 19th, 1953. The day America killed Iranian democracy. Picture this. It's 1953. Iran has a democratically elected prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. Time magazine named him Man of the Year. He's beloved by his people. His big idea? Iran's oil should benefit Iranians, not just British and American companies who were taking 85% of the profits. Sounds reasonable, right? America and Britain disagreed. On August 19th, 1953, the CIA launched Operation Ajax. They bribed politicians, paid mobs to riot in the streets, and orchestrated a military coup that removed Mossadegh from power. They installed Shah Reza Pahlavi, a king who would do whatever Washington wanted. For the next 26 years, the Shah ruled Iran with an iron fist. His secret police, Savak, tortured and killed thousands of political opponents. But America didn't care. Why? Because the oil kept flowing. Democracy, human rights, those were just words. And we wonder why Iranians don't trust us. Go figure. But here's what they never tell you in history class. America itself gave Iran nuclear technology during the Shah's era, the Atoms for Peace program in 1957. By the 1970s, Iran was planning 23 nuclear power plants. Remember that, because it's going to matter in a minute. Fast forward to 1979, the Iranian people had enough. They rose up in the Islamic Revolution and overthrew the Shah. In revenge for 26 years of American-backed tyranny, Iranian students took 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. Was it right? No. Was it understandable given what America had done? You tell me. America's response? Label Iran a terrorist state and never look back. But wait, it gets worse. 1980, Saddam Hussein invades Iran. 8 years of brutal war follow. Over 500,000 Iranians die. Chemical weapons are used against civilians. It's horrific. And guess who supported Saddam? America, Britain, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. They gave Saddam weapons, intelligence, satellite imagery. When he gassed Iranian soldiers with chemical weapons, a war crime, The United Nations did nothing. Why? Because Iran had dared to reject American control. Let me put this in perspective for you. Imagine Mexico overthrows a United States-backed dictator. Then Canada invades Mexico with American weapons. And the U.S. helps Canada lost 500,000 Mexicans over 8 years. How would Mexicans feel about America after that? That's Iran's experience. And we still haven't gotten to the nuclear part yet. After the war ended in 1988, Iranian leaders had a meeting. The conclusion was simple. We need deterrence, because the world will let us be destroyed and won't lift a finger. Remember, America had given Iran nuclear technology under the Shah, then cut it all off when the revolution happened. So Iran restarted the program in secret, not necessarily to build bombs, but to have the capability, the ultimate insurance policy. Think about it from their perspective. Israel has somewhere between 90 and 400 nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nukes, India has nukes, even North Korea has nukes. But when Iran enriches uranium for civilian energy, which is legal under international law, it's called an existential threat. Can you smell the double standard? Because it's strong. In 2002, the secret was exposed, the world freaked out, and what followed was a 12-year chess game that would eventually lead to a historic deal in 2015. But before we get there, you need to understand what the US and Israel did to try to stop Iran. And trust me, this is where it gets really dark. For 12 years, the West waged a shadow war against Iran. Economic sanctions crushed their economy, cut them off from international banking, made it nearly impossible to trade. In 2010, a computer virus called Stuxnet, built by the US and Israel, destroyed 1,000 Iranian centrifuges. It was the first known cyber weapon to cause physical destruction. And then came the assassinations. Iranian nuclear scientists were killed one by one. Car bombs, motorcycle attacks, precision operations blamed on Israeli intelligence. Imagine being a nuclear physicist in Iran. You wake up every day wondering if today's the day you get murdered for doing your job. But Iran didn't give up. They kept going. Because in their minds, this was about survival. Then, in 2013, something changed. Hassan Rouhani was elected president, a moderate who actually wanted to negotiate. And after years of secret talks, something miraculous happened. July 14th, 2015. The Iran nuclear deal was signed. Iran agreed to dismantle most of its program, reduce uranium stockpiles by 98%, and allow inspectors anywhere, anytime. In return, sanctions would be lifted. For 3 years, the International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed Iran was following every single rule. The deal was working. And then Donald Trump became president. May 8th, 2018. Trump stands at a podium and calls the Iran deal the worst agreement ever negotiated. Mind you, Iran was following it perfectly. Didn't matter. America withdrew, unilaterally, just walked away. Then came maximum pressure, banking sanctions, oil sanctions. Even medical supplies were blocked during COVID-19. Iranians were dying because they couldn't get medicine. The Iranian rail collapsed, lost 70% of its value overnight. Inflation hit 40%. Regular people couldn't afford food. Now, I want you to imagine this happening to your country. Your savings become worthless overnight because another country decided they don't like your government. How would you feel? Iran waited. They hoped maybe the next president would be different. Maybe America would honor its agreements. But deep down, they learned a hard lesson. You can't trust America's word. So they made a decision. If America won't negotiate in good faith, if sanctions will never end, if the goal is regime change no matter what, then the only language that matters is power. They restarted the nuclear program, faster and more advanced than before. By 2025, Iran had enough enriched uranium for multiple bombs, if they chose to weaponize it. And that's when Israel decided it was time to act. What happened next was 12 days that nearly set the Middle East on fire. June 13th, 2025. Dawn breaks over Iran. Suddenly, the sky fills with Israeli warplanes. Operation Rising Lion had begun. Targets across Iran were hit simultaneously. Nuclear facilities at Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan, missile production sites, air defense systems, Revolutionary Guard headquarters. But it wasn't just infrastructure. Israeli forces hunted people, senior commanders, nuclear scientists. They even tried to assassinate President Pezeshkian, succeeded in injuring his leg. When the dust settled, over 1,062 Iranians dead, 2,500 wounded. Israel's justification? Self-defense against a potential future threat. Self-defense. Against a country that hadn't attacked them. Makes total sense. Iran's response was immediate and massive. 550 ballistic missiles, 1,000 drones, launched in waves at Israeli cities, Tel Aviv, Haifa, civilian neighborhoods, military bases. Everything was a target. 28 Israelis died by the end, and the world held its breath, waiting to see if this would spiral into regional war. Then, June 22nd. Trump made an announcement that shocked everyone. American B-2 bombers had just struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites, 14 massive bunker buster bombs, each weighing 30,000 pounds. or were dropped on hardened underground facilities. Trump claimed Iran's nuclear program was completely and totally obliterated. Pentagon assessments later said it was set back about 2 years, not destroyed, damaged. But here's the question nobody's asking. Had Iran attacked America? No. Had Iran attacked Israel first? No. So why did the most powerful military on earth bomb a country that hadn't attacked it? The answer is simple and terrifying, because they could. Iran fired back. Missiles at Udeid Air Base in Qatar. 10,000 American troops stationed there. Miraculously, 0 American casualties. June 24th, ceasefire declared. Final score, Iran, 1,062 dead. Israel, 29 dead. America, 0. But this wasn't a victory. This was a warning shot, because Iran just proved something the Pentagon didn't want to admit. Here's what most people don't understand about Iran. In a conventional war, yes, America and Israel would win. The technology gap is too big. The economic difference is overwhelming. But here's the thing about war. It's not just about winning. It's about the cost of winning. And Iran has made itself extremely expensive to defeat. First, the missiles. Over 2,000 ballistic missiles. They can hit every American base in the Middle East, every Israeli city, every Gulf oil facility. Even if missile defenses stop 70%, and that's optimistic, 30% getting through means thousands of casualties and billions in damage. Second, the Strait of Hormuz. 40% of the world's oil passes through that narrow waterway every single day. Iran can close it. Mines, fast attack boats, anti-ship missiles. Oil prices would hit $200 a barrel within days. Global recession. Your gas prices would triple overnight. Yeah, even if you. Watching this in California or London or Sydney, this would affect you personally. Third, proxy forces across the region. Houthis in Yemen, militias in Iraq, Hezbollah in Lebanon. They'd all activate simultaneously. Multiple fronts, multiple countries. Chaos. Fourth, cyber warfare. Iran has proven capabilities to attack infrastructure, power grids, water systems, financial networks. And fifth, the big one, nuclear ambiguity. Does Iran secretly have a nuclear weapon already? Intelligence agencies aren't sure. December 2025 reports suggested they might. If they do, and if they use it as a last resort when facing extinction, mutual, assured destruction. So yes, America could win a war with Iran, but the cost would be trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, a global economic depression, and possibly a nuclear exchange in the Middle East. Starting to see why this might not be as simple as the politicians make it sound. And that brings us to right now, today, this week. Because Trump is planning his next move, and what happens in the next few days could determine whether we're heading toward World War III. Let me bring you up to speed on what's happening right now. January the 13th, Trump posts on social media telling Iranian protesters, "Take over your institutions. Help is on the way." That's not diplomacy. That's openly calling for regime change. He announces a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Iran, cuts off all diplomatic meetings, holds a national security meeting to discuss military options. Options include large-scale strikes, targeted assassinations of Iranian leaders, including potentially Ayatollah Khamenei himself, cyber attacks, arming rebel groups. Iran's foreign minister responds, "We're prepared for war if you want to test us. But diplomacy is better." Then the situation gets even more tense. January 14th, Trump was briefed that Iran planned to execute a high-profile protester named Irfan Soltani, a 26-year-old. Trump was deeply troubled. Sources say he appeared closer than ever to ordering military strikes. Behind the scenes, Netanyahu calls Trump. The message? Hold off on the attack. Israel doesn't believe the regime will fall quickly, and they're worried about their own missile defenses being depleted after last year's war. Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, Egypt, all frantically send the same message: do not strike Iran. They're terrified this will spiral into regional war affecting their own territories. January 15th, Trump announces from the Oval Office that very important sources on the other side told him Iran stopped killing protesters and canceled over 800 planned executions. He posts on social media, "I respect the decision to cancel all scheduled hangings, thank you." But when asked if military action is off the table, he dodges, "I'm not going to tell you that." Because nothing builds trust like thanking someone while keeping a gun pointed at their head. Then, January 16th, things get darker. Norway-based Iran Human Rights releases verified numbers: 3,428 protesters killed. That's verified deaths they can confirm. But wait, it gets worse. Iran International reports that, according to senior government and security sources, at least 12,000 people were killed in just 2 nights, January 8th and 9th. 12,000. In just 2 days. An eyewitness who fled Iran describes thousands of bodies stored at a cemetery. Families searching for missing loved ones during a nationwide digital blackout. Indiscriminate gunfire in city streets. The internet shutdown has now entered its 9th day. SMS services just got restored, but the internet remains completely blocked. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency issued an alert. All EU airlines should avoid Iranian airspace due to heightened risk. That's what happens when countries expect war. Meanwhile, Reza Pahlavi, the exiled Shah's son, appears at the National Press Club in Washington wearing a Make Iran Great Again hat with Senator Lindsey Graham. He's calling for coordinated protests across Iran from January 17th to 19. Because nothing says we support democracy like literally backing a monarchy and coordinating protests from 5,000 miles away. The irony is incredible. Israeli media reports that Israel still believes Trump may take military action. The only question is when. America continues evacuating personnel from Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest American military installation in the Middle East. Britain closed its embassy in Tehran completely. And throughout all of this, Iranian officials issue warnings. If you attack us, we will respond decisively. We're prepared. Don't test us. Is the crisis actually calming down, or just the calm before the storm? Because here's what you need to understand. So where does this go from here? There are 4 possible paths. Scenario 1, Trump and Iran somehow negotiate a new deal. Sanctions lift slowly. Iran limits its program. Trust is rebuilt over years. Unlikely. Because as of this week, trust is completely dead. Trump literally canceled all meetings with Iranian officials. Scenario 2, Iran endures this pressure like it has for 47 years. Weakened, but intact. More isolated. More determined to get nukes secretly. The protests get crushed. The internet comes back on. Life returns to a grim normal. Regional tensions stay high forever. We do this exact same dance again in 5 years. Maybe 3. This is the most likely outcome. History suggests authoritarian regimes are really good at surviving when threatened from outside. Scenario 3. The government collapses from combined external and internal pressure. Could be peaceful uprising, could be violent civil war. Creates chaos like Libya in 2011 or Iraq after 2003. Nobody knows what comes next. Could be democracy, could be another dictatorship. Could be a complete collapse into warlords and militias. And here's the thing. It could actually be way worse for ordinary Iranians. Ask Libyans or Iraqis how regime change worked out for them. Scenario 4. Despite everything, the sanctions, the strikes, the pressure, they achieve weapons capability within 3 to 5 years. Maybe they already have. Those December reports about miniaturized warheads? Who knows if they're true? But if Iran gets nukes, watch what happens next. Saudi Arabia immediately pursues its own program. Turkey does the same. Egypt follows. Suddenly the Middle East has 5 or 6 nuclear powers instead of 1. The region becomes a nuclear powder keg where one miscalculation, one accident, one terrorist group getting lucky, and millions die in nuclear fire. None of these scenarios are good, not one. But here's what's really terrifying. We're racing toward one of them right now, and most people have no idea it's even happening. This isn't really about Iran. It's about precedent. If America can bomb another country without being attacked first, without UN approval, without international law mattering at all, then what stops them from doing it to anyone? Today it's Iran. Tomorrow it could be Greenland, or another nation in the crosshairs, or any country that challenges American interests. Look, I'm not saying Iran's government is perfect. They're authoritarian. They suppress free speech. They execute dissidents. But ask yourself this. Do we fix that by bombing them? By starving 92 million people with sanctions? By killing their scientists? Or does that just make them more paranoid, more isolated, more determined to get weapons for survival? America has been trying to control Iran for 70 years, and it hasn't worked. Not even close. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to try something different. What if instead of bombs, we tried actual diplomacy? What if instead of sanctions, we tried engagement? What if instead of regime change, we tried respecting sovereignty? Crazy ideas, I know. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Iran doesn't want to destroy America. They want to be left alone. They want their oil wealth to benefit their people, not Western companies. They want to develop their economy without being crushed by sanctions. They want security guarantees so they're not constantly threatened with war. They want the same things any country wants: sovereignty, security, prosperity. Are those demands unreasonable? Or are they basic human rights that every nation deserves? You decide. So here's where we are right now. This week, as you watch this, American and Israeli leaders are deciding whether to bomb Iran again. 92 million people are caught in the middle, wondering if they'll see tomorrow. The next few days, the next few weeks, will determine whether this escalates to full-scale war or somehow de-escalates. And you might think, what can I do? I'm just one person in California, or London, or Sydney, or Mexico City. But that's exactly what they want you to think. Because if enough people understand what's really happening, if enough people question the official narrative, if enough people demand accountability from their leaders, things can change. The Iraq War happened because people believed the lies about weapons of mass destruction. Millions died. Trillions wasted. The Middle East destabilized for decades. We must not let that happen again. Here's what you do. 1. Share this video. Send it to everyone you know. Post it everywhere. The algorithm will try to suppress it, but you can fight back with shares. Make it go viral. 2. Comment below with your thoughts. Do you think Iran is the threat they say it is? Or is this about power and control? Let's have that conversation. Let's make some noise. 3. Research for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Look up Operation Ajax 1953. Read about the Iran nuclear deal. Check the IAEA reports. Read what Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi said on Fox News this week. The facts are there if you look. 4. Contact your representatives. If you live in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, anywhere in the West, your government is involved in this. Your tax dollars might fund these bombs. Tell them you don't support another Middle East war. Make your voice heard. And 5, stay informed. Subscribe to this channel. Because what happens in the coming weeks will be crucial, and mainstream media won't tell you the full story. They never do. Look, I know this is heavy. I know it's complicated. I know it's easier to just trust what CNN or Fox News or the BBC tells you, but the stakes are too high this time. We're talking about potential World War III. Nuclear weapons potentially being used in the Middle East. Millions of lives hanging in the balance. This isn't a video game. This isn't a Marvel movie. This is real people. Mothers, fathers, students, doctors, teachers, whose lives will be destroyed if bombs fall. And it's happening right now, this week, while you're scrolling TikTok or watching Netflix. 70 years ago, America destroyed Iranian democracy and installed a dictator so oil companies could get rich. For 70 years, Iran has suffered the consequences of that decision. The question facing us today is, how long are we going to let this continue? How many more need to die before we say enough? How many more countries need to be destroyed before we demand a different approach? History will judge us, you and me, by what we do in moments like this. The choice is yours. Will you stay silent while another country faces destruction? Will you scroll past and pretend it's not your problem? Or will you speak up, share this truth, and demand something better from your leaders? Iran's story isn't over, not even close. The next chapter is being written this week, right now, as you watch this. And you, yes, you watching this, you get to decide what role you play in it. Thanks for watching. Now go share this. Tag 3 people, post it to your story, send it in your group chats. The world needs to know, and it starts with you.